Hello, and welcome to another second grade episode of Math Matters. I'm Mrs. Hale, and today we're going to learn about telling time. During today's lesson, you will be learning to do the following. I am learning to show, tell, and write time to the nearest 5 minutes using analog and digital clocks. I am learning to match the time on a clock face to the digital time. You will have an opportunity to reflect on your learning at the end of the lesson. As you are working today, you will also have an opportunity to practice your communication skills by sharing your ideas through writing. Today you will need paper and a pencil. I will give you a minute to gather what you need. All right, come on back and we'll get started with our lesson. We are going to play Same but Different. I will show you some pictures and you will have to find ways that the two pictures are the same and ways that the two pictures are different. Are you ready? What do you see that is the same? What do you see that is different? I'll give you some time to think. There are many ways that these clocks are both similar and different. See if you thought of any of these. Both are analog clocks. Both clocks are circles. Both clocks have a green hour hand. They're different because the hour hands point to different times. The first clock shows the time is between 10 and 11. The second hour hand shows that the hour is between 2 and 3. Another way the clocks are similar is that both hour hands are short. Both clocks have a blue minute hand. Both minute hands are pointing in the same spot, 30 minutes. Both clocks have a yellow second hand. A way they are different is that the time on the two clocks are different. The first clock shows 10:30. The second clock shows 2:30. Did you think of any of those ways? Let's try another one. What do you see that is the same? What do you see that is different? I'll give you some time to think. if you thought of any of these ideas. Both clocks, they are the same because both clocks are analog clocks. Both clocks are circles. Both have a red hour hand, but they are different because the hour hands point to different times. The first clock shows the hour hand pointing at 4. The second clock shows the hour hand pointing at 9. They are the same because both hour hands are short. Both have a yellow minute hand, but they are different because the minute hands point to different times. The first clock shows the minute hand pointing at 45 minutes. The second clock shows the minute hand pointing to show 20 minutes. And the time shown on the clocks is different. The first clock shows 4:45. The second clock shows 9:20. How did you do? Did you find any of the ways that the two clocks are the same but different? Counting minutes. We have learned that the minute hand counts by 5s as you go around the analog face. If the hour hand is about halfway between two numbers, about where could the minute hand be? The minute hand would be about halfway around the circle, about halfway around the hour, pointing at 30 minutes. Now think, if the hour hand is a little past the hour, about where could the minute hand be? The minute hand could be at 5, 10, or 15 minutes past the hour. This minute hand shows 5 minutes past the hour. If the hour hand is a little before the hour, about where could the minute hand be? The minute hand could be at 45, 50, or 55 minutes past the hour. This minute hand shows 50 minutes past the hour, which you could also think of as 10 minutes until the next hour. We are going to use our bodies to practice exploring how the minute hand moves. Can you read the time on the analog clock? It is 1:15. Do you see how the blue minute hand is pointing to the side at 15 minutes? Now look at the person. Do you see how he is holding his arm out to the side at about 15 minutes? See if you can model the minute hand at 15 minutes with your right arm out to the side, just like the boy in the picture. Do you see where we write the minute portion of the time? First, we write the hour, then you write the minutes. Now we are going to practice with other positions of the minute hand. There's a clock face at the top to help you count by 5s if you need it. I'm going to show you some pictures of a boy with a blue arm showing the minute hand of a clock. Each time, I want you to use your right arm to show the minute hand, just like the boy. See if you can tell about how many minutes the clock would say. Ready? Here's the first one. The minute hand is pointing straight up at 12. Did you put your right arm straight up? The minute would say o'clock. When you write that digitally, it's 00. Ready for the next one? Move your arm and think about how many minutes this minute hand shows. The minute hand is showing 20 minutes. Here comes the next one. Remember to move your arm so it matches the arm of the boy in the picture. How many minutes does this minute hand show? The minute hand is showing 30 minutes. All right, last one. How many minutes does the minute hand show? The minute hand is showing 45 minutes. How did you do? Can you move your arm around your body like the minute hand on a clock? Now I'm going to show you a digital clock. Your job is to use your arm to show where the minute hand would go. Remember, the minute hand is the long hand. The time is 10:30. Use your arm to show where the minute hand would go. Your arm should be straight down, pointing at your feet. Let's do another one. The time is 4:40. Use your arm to show where the minute hand would go. Check your arm against the minute hand on the analog clock. "3:50. Use your arm to show them where the minute hand would go. The minute hand is pointing towards the 10. Is your arm pointing up towards that direction? Last one on this page. The time is 8:10. Use your arm to show where the minute hand would go. Check using the analog clock. How did you do? We're going to do some more. 1:45. Use your arm to show where the minute hand would go. Does it match the minute hand on the clock? The time is 3:05. Use your arm to show where the minute hand would go. How did you do? The time is 7:25. Use your arm to show where the minute hand would go. Does your hand match the minute hand on the analog clock? One more. The time is 9:55. Use your arm to show where the minute hand would go. How did you do? Are you getting better at using your arm as the minute hand on a clock? Now you will need your pencil and paper. This time, I will show you the analog clocks, and your job is to write the digital time on your paper. Write down the time shown on the clock. Does this match the time that you wrote on your paper? Write down the time shown on the clock. How did you do? What time does this clock show? Write it down on your paper. How did you do? Write down the time that this clock shows. The time is 12:35. How did you do? Were you able to write the digital time for each clock? We are going to do 4 more. Write down the digital time. Does this match what you wrote down? What time does this clock show? How did you do? What time does this clock show? Does the time that you wrote down match the time shown? Last one. What time does this analog clock show? Write down the digital time. How did you do? Were you able to write the digital time for each analog clock? We are going to play Agree or Disagree. I will show you a clock and tell you what one student thinks the time says. You have to read the clock and decide if you agree with the student or if you disagree with the student, and explain why you agree or disagree. Let's get started. Read the time on the clock. Robert thinks the time is 3:55. Do you agree or disagree, and why? I will give you some time to think and talk out loud. You should agree. The time is 3:55. The hour hand is between the 3 and the 4, so it is past 3 o'clock but has not yet gotten to 4 o'clock. And the minute hand counts 5 minutes around the clock and ends at 55 minutes. So the time is 3:55. Let's do another one. Read the time on the clock. Josie says the time is 2:20. Do you agree or disagree? Why? I will give you time to think and talk aloud. You should disagree. The hour hand is pointing at the 4. Josie thinks the hour is at the 2. The time is actually 4:10, so Josie is incorrect. I think she may have mixed up the hour hand and the minute hand. Read the time on the clock. Erica says the time is 5:30. Do you agree or disagree? And why? I'll give you time to think and talk aloud. You should agree. The hour hand is pointing between the 5 and the 6. So it is past 5 o'clock, but we have not yet gotten to 6 o'clock. And the minute hand counts by 5s and stops at 30 minutes. So the time is 5:30. Last one. Read the time on the clock. Jeffrey said the time is 12:30. Do you agree or disagree? And why? I'll give you time to think and talk aloud. You should agree with Jeffrey. He's right. The time is 12:30. How did you do with agree or disagree? If you have an analog clock at home, you could play this game with someone at your house. Now let's reflect on your learning. How did you do today working towards our learning goals? Thumbs up, I got it. Thumb in the middle, I'm still practicing. Or thumbs down, I still need some help. You move your thumb as I read each statement. I am learning to show, tell, and write time to the nearest 5 minutes using analog and digital clocks. How did you do? I am learning to match the time shown on a clock face to the digital time. How did you do? This is not easy. It takes a lot of practice to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes. I'm proud of you for trying it out with me today. In today's episode of Math Matters, we practiced telling time to the nearest 5 minutes. Try to look for clocks and practice telling time at home today. Maybe you could play agree or disagree with someone. I'm Mrs. Hale. I hope you have a great day and keep on counting.